Ableton Live 12.2 is here, and they've added some amazing new features, such as bounce to new track, easy access to take lanes, a new Expressive Chords Device. And that's not all. The auto filter has been completely reworked with new filter types, an improved user interface, and much more. I'm excited to show you these ones. Let's go. Okay, so first on our list is bounce to new track. In the last update to Ableton Live, we had freeze and flatten. Now, if we right click on a region like this, you'll notice freeze and flatten is gone, and we have something now called bounce in place. Essentially the same thing. Then we have a new option here, which is bounce to new track. I click this, boom. What it's done is it's essentially bounced all the audio effects and instruments, made it into an audio clip and put it on a new track. It's kind of the same as bounce in place, but it essentially puts it on a new track for us, keeps the original. Now this is super great for doing some reverse chops really, really quickly. We can go in here and just press R, reverse, Command E to do some chops. I'm just gonna rename. So this is chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, boom, like that. If we move them around, put in a little bit of a fade. And if you look here, your original region will be grayed out. Just deactivates it. To reactivate it, press 0. Then if we have a listen to this, next up is the new auto filter. So here is the original auto filter, one of my personal favorite effects. Didn't think it was broke, didn't think it needed fixing. Let's find out if they've improved it or not. So let's go and get this new auto filter, drag it on. I mean, it's definitely had a facelift. Looks a bit nicer, doesn't it? Obviously, you've got your frequency dial here. You've got your resonance. They've just put it at the start of the chain. Makes a bit more sense there. We have a few new filter types here. So we have DJ, comb, resample, notch plus low pass, and then a vowel type filter. So let's first hear our classic low pass, see if it's improved the sound or not. Nice, still sounding pretty great. Let's solo this track so we can hear the new filters. So here's DJ. So this has basically a low pass and a high pass, depending on where you move this dial. It goes from a cutoff frequency to something called control. So let's hear that. Wow, that's pretty fun. Okay, comb. Whoa, nice. Okay, that's more of like a sound designy, almost like a phasery sort of sound to it, which is really cool. Okay, now we have something called resampling. Sounds a bit like Redux. It sounds like it's playing with the sample rate. That's really cool. Notch and low pass. Nice, just makes it a bit smoother when you go down towards those ends. You don't get any peaks in those kind of low mid sort of areas. And then Vowel, I think this is my favorite new update to it. Let's change some of the formants. Let's morph it a little bit. Cool, that's going to be great when you add some modulation to that. Fantastic. Let's go back to the original low pass. Now let's look at this LFO section down here. So if we change up the LFO amount here, this is where we're going to see a nice new little improvement to the UI. Obviously, we're seeing the waveform when we press play, but we're also seeing what the LFO does. Now, the LFO was part of the original one, but we didn't see this movement. We just heard it. So this is a nice kind of visual representation of it. And we have different LFO settings. We can have it to phase, and then we can put the stereo sides out of phase like this. We can also set it to spin, which kind of puts the sides out of tune and gives this spinny sort of effect. We've got different kind of waveforms here. We have some new ramp up ones. Then we have a quantize section here, which was down here before, and we have a few more options. We have steps like we did before, or we have now sample and hold. So we get like a bit of kind of randomness to it, which is pretty cool. We also have the envelope, which we had before, but this was at the start. This is where we can get the amplitude of the incoming audio source to trigger this. This would be a lot more obvious if I had this on a drum kit like this. Put a bit of LFO mount in. Nice, cool. Also, we have this new sidechain tab. This is changed based on a few other instruments as well, such as compressor, corpus, gate, glue, compressor, multiband dynamics, and shifter devices. Additionally, the sidechain filter in the compressor is now accessible in its own panel as well. So just a few kind of tweaks, but I really like this. This is really cool. And we've got this additional headphone little bit here so we can quickly hear the sidechain that's coming in. Jump back to the chord riff, we also have a drive unit here. Now, this was in this one if we had certain filter types selected, such as OSR, S2, SMP, and PRD. Now, this is always here, and we have some different kind of filter types here. Let's try these drives. Whoa! Let's try another one. Clip on. Yeah, that's cooking. Then we have a soft clip on the output, and we also have an output and a dry wet. Okay, I'm sold. That's really, really nice update to an already faultless device. So well done, Ableton. Next is a new MIDI effect called Expressive Chords. Now, I couldn't find this at first because I have the beta program on my computer and it just updates. You have to go log into the center code and download this device separately. It's kind of scratching my head for a few minutes trying to find it, but that's where it is. So I'm going to grab it and drag it onto a new track, and this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to drop an instrument here as well. Okay, so this is the instrument called Expressive Chords. We have a bunch of pads here which have some really jazzy chords laid out on them. Let's have a look. So here's some of the chords. Ooh, okay, yeah, we're sounding like we know what we're doing. So we can transpose it up and down. Doesn't seem to have the scale awareness feature yet, but I guess this is in beta, so this is something they may introduce. That would make a lot of sense. Now we have a way of viewing it like pads like this that you can play, and we can touch it here. But also, if I just go here and arm my track, make sure I have my QWERTY keyboard engaged as the computer keyboard. I can play it. Now I also can see the notes that I'm playing. Just in case you're like, that's pretty good. I want to play that on the piano. You have the notes there. Fantastic. That's really, really handy. Now let's go down here to these dials here. So we have tilt, which scales the velocity so that the lower notes are louder than the higher notes, or the higher notes are louder. Okay, so let's hear that. Let me play a chord. Yeah, you can hear it. It almost feels like an EQ, doesn't it? So invert transposes the lower note of the chord up or down. It kind of works like inverting a chord. So let's lower it down one, see what happens. And although it doesn't show us it here, we can see the notes here shifting around. So if I press it up one, check out this top note here. Go one more. So it's changed the order of the notes, so it's inverting the chords, which is pretty cool. Strumming is essentially like rolling the notes. So rather than just playing all the notes down at the same time, it will kind of do them one after the other. Like a strum on a guitar, so you like pluck the strings. The lower the percentage, the quicker it is. The higher the percentage, the longer the strum. So let me put it all the way up. That sounds like I know what I'm doing. This is fantastic. Let's put it like halfway. Okay, so then articulate lets you pick among 8 different kind of phrases. It's possible to invert the order by enabling the reverse articulation toggle. Finally, you can change the root note of the chord played via the transpose parameter. So it's essentially, with this drum, it lets you have kind of 8 presets of it. So you're going to strum like the first 2 notes and then hold the top 2. Who knows? We have some presets, but then I'll show you how to adjust this. So let's hear, well, we've heard number 1. Let's hear number 2. So essentially, like, imagine it like a picking pattern on the guitar. And then we can invert it here with this button here. Now let's see how we edit all this. So this is where this chord comes alive. We have a modulation section. So if you've got a push 3, now's the time to get it out, get in the public beta and download this. So it's fantastic. You have, velocity and the slide. So you can set the slide to be like the strum, inversion, the tilt, the articulation. Wow, that's going to be really fun to play with. So, if you want to hear that on the push, I've done basically the same sort of video as I'm doing here for Ableton Live 12, but for the push 3, stick it up there so you can watch that. If it's not there, it means it's not released yet, but it will be there soon. Then the last thing we can do with this is we can import chords. This is fantastic if you're planning on playing live and you're not very good at playing chords and you've got a set of chords from your song, you can plonk them in here and then just play one note. For example, this chord pattern up here is pretty hard. It's pretty hard for me to play. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to put it on the channel we're working on, like this. Open this up. And I'm just going to go to import. Now what it's done, if I go back to the pads here, it's imported those chords. I'm just going to delete it from the channel now. So if I press this, and it also tells me what chords I'm playing, which is fantastic. Sometimes my theory doesn't connect up with my brain and I play some chords and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm playing here. Now, next up is some browser enhancements. Now, it's divided people, this new browser in 12. A lot of my friends that I know really miss the old browser in Live with folders, but, at first I wasn't really into it, but now I'm warming up to it. Using these filters is fantastic. In the previous update, we got the auto signature filters, which I think this is taking this thing to the next level, which is really cool. So let's look at some of the main ones. So if we go up here, we have a new tab that can hide or show the filters for us. Next, we have like a selection of what we want to see in the filter tab. Also, we can open up the tag editor. So that's what we would previously see in there before. And we can go and add custom groups and tags. With that as well, I really like doing that, but that was pretty long. So now what we can do is we can see the tags right at the bottom here and we can add in custom ones. So if you were to download my free sample pack, link in the description below, ding, it's like a salesman, and you wanted to tag it and put it in with all your synths, it should do the automatic tagging stuff. Let's see, bass. No, it hasn't. So I can go in here and go bass, bass line. There we go, bass, boom. It's got a bass there now, okay? Also, user, I could set up a custom group as push patterns. If you want to get some more of my stuff, you can put it all into one filter so you can just see all the push patterns sort of stuff going on there. That is such a good improvement. I'm really, really happy that's there. Another feature that was brought into Ableton Live 12 is the ability to save a search. So I've gone up and searched push patterns, and these are all the materials that I have for push patterns, all the chains. So say like I want to save that search. I don't want to have to save that again. I can just press this little plus sign here and it will save the push pattern search. Fantastic. Now this was the little dial we had before, but now if we right click on this, we can choose a new icon. Yay. I'm going to go what looks like push patterns. This sort of thing will do. There we go. Great. So now that saves it. You see I've done a few other ones here. Fantastic. Just a little feature, but that's really fun. I like that. And the other thing is we have 3 little dots here. Click on those 3 little dots. It gives us options to include more information with the search. So we have size, date modified, type, rank. So that's to do with similar sound search and place. Okay. Then you can also go hide all extra columns. Just another handy little feature that's there. This could be quite handy if you're looking at file size and trying to keep a tab on all your samples. Also, the Roar device has been updated with a new routing and filter type. Let's check that out. So we now have a delay routing. There we go. This delays the second stage by a slight time value. Now, it's not the same as feedback. it says here, unlike feedback routing, the delay signal is sent to the second stage without being scaled through the feedback gain. This creates single distorted repetitions or slapbacks. Nice, let's hear it. So let me solo this up. Nice. Let's try gaining up. So we also have a new filter type, which is this, how do you say that? Dispersion. Am I saying that right? Who knows? This filter plays around, or it says distorts the phase between the two sides, giving you like a metallic sort of sound. It doesn't really kind of EQ it out. It just moves it around a little bit. Have a listen to this. It's really cool. I'm just going to turn off the delay signal here. Oh, wow. You get like some really interesting sounds, that one. That's really cool. Okay. The other thing is we now have a sidechain input and a MIDI input as well. Again, we have this new kind of redesigned sidechain tab, which is fantastic. Let's put external sidechain input, and we're going to put 909 core kit, and I'm going to choose the bass drum sound. And then I'm just going to turn that up. And what it does is if I go into the modulation tab here, it's going to affect this envelope here. So it's no longer going to be triggered by the amplitude or the transients of the sound source it's on. It's going to be triggered by that incoming kick drum. Okay. So, and then in the modulation matrix, I'm going to go to direct frequency. Oh, wow. Okay, let's put it back to... If I do it the other way around. So yeah, if you have the filter all the way up, you need a negative value. If it's all the way down, you need a positive value. Okay, so you get... Nice. I'm going to play around with this MIDI input here. So if I go down over to the feedback mode here and go note, I now can send in MIDI information to control the feedback pitch, which before it just was kind of on its own kind of tuning here. But if I go MIDI input, say piano. So now if I put that up to all the standard and then I just turn this on, now the note dial here grays out, and that means now the chords will take over. That's so good. Wow. Yeah, that's really fun. Okay. So just while I'm here, you'll see on the audio effects, we now have like a new arrow for the expanded section. This will pop up on any audio effects or instruments that have this expanded view section, such as Wavetable has one as well. Also, Ableton stock devices, if you right click on this kind of header bit here, you've got some extra options, which, you know, if you're new to Ableton Live, that's not really that obvious. So now they've put a little 3-dot tab here, which again, Ableton's buttons are very, very tiny, but it's a little bit more obvious now. So now they've also updated the Meld instrument as well. So let's have a look at that. So first off is we've got a new shape. We have a chord. Now this can be done like this. So if we go to this button, it's now scale aware. So if I put this to like Dorian, I now have octave and 2 scale degrees. So I could put like maybe 2 scale degrees here. You can also type 2 and 4 and then put like -1 octave. Turn this oscillator off. Let me arm this track. Sounds fantastic. Maybe up 1 more octave. Here we go. Play the shape. So one of the brilliant things with Meld is the fact that you got a lot of LFOs and a lot of kind of modulation possibilities. So for example, here, if I do this inversion thing here, I can assign that to LFO1. Oh, wow, I'm in love with that one already. Also, in the LFO tab, we have a new LFO effect shape. We have something called the Scrambler. Now, if I turn that up, it it basically scrambles it. That's what that does. So remember, we can send this LFO to that scrambled. I put it like this. So yeah, that will scramble. That's like an effect for LFO1. So you'll have your LFO1, and then you can route it into the LFO1 FX matrix, and then you have your second LFO there still. Just a couple more now. These ones are super quick. You have now got scale awareness being added to the Spectral Resonator and the Resonator as well. Here we go. So now, before I could either put in a MIDI input and play it here, or I just had internal frequency. Now I can put this to scale and then set this to note value, and now I can tune it. Fantastic. Now if I duplicate that, I'm going to solo this guy, and we're going to go to the Resonator. Same thing. Put this on here, and then boom, we've now got this scale awareness. It goes to SD, it stands for scale degrees, and I can do a similar sort of thing. Really cool features there. Now, working in arrangement view is fantastic for recording guitars and vocals because we have access to something called take lanes. Now, the problem with take lanes was it was a bit fiddly to get to them. The shortcut was impossible to remember, and we had to right click, go here and go show take lanes. That's pretty long. Okay. Now, if you look down here, we have a little icon appear in the bottom left-hand corner of the track. If I do that, oh my days, we have the take lanes. This is such a, well, what seems like such a small tweak has a massive impact on your workflow. That is going to make me want to do more takes in Ableton Live. Okay, Ableton, yeah, I'm happy. So that was a quick review of most of the updates. There's some other minor ones. This was kind of the main highlights. Now, if you are just starting out with Ableton Live and getting a bit lost, I do have a free tutorial here if you'd like to check that one out. Bye for now. See you in the next one.